Hello again, everybody. Welcome to Michael's Record Collection, where we talk about great music with the people who make it and the people who love it. We're doing the latter today. We're talking to people who love the music. We're talking about an anniversary. It is hard to believe, but it's been 30 years since Rush put out Counterparts. And that's what we're here to talk about today. 30 years of Counterparts. I am joined by Ryan Murphy and Jim Benner of Rushfans. Ryan, why don't you explain what Rushfans are?
Yeah. Um, yeah, what Rush fans are the fans of the greatest band in the world. What Rush fans is yeah, it's our community that we're building on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, and I'm sure probably watching this on YouTube. Um, what we do on YouTube is Rush Roundtable. It's one of our series that started back right before the pandemic. Kind of every week we put out or every Friday morning, we'll say, we put out a discussion about Rush. It kind of just it was started small and kind of took off. We're a little over 200 episodes at this point. Rush Deep Dive, where we deep dive every single album. We've had the legendary Donna Halper on all of them. She broke down a lot of the Rush albums with us. Uh, we have a Rush quiz series on the channel, and just various other stuff. So definitely check us out on YouTube. Rush fans, all one word.
Okay. I'm going to start with you, Jim. I'm going to ask each of you this question. So it actually gives Ryan a chance to think about his answer. I always like to ask my guests, what was your first favorite record?
Oh man, my first favorite record ever of any band at
Yep.
all.
First one that just
Holy
grabbed you as a
cow.
kid.
Holy cow. You know, uh, probably I'm not really sure, but I will say that Pink Floyd The Wall really grabbed me
Okay.
as a kid. It did. And even going back a little further, Sergeant Pepper's, Beatles Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. That grabbed me too when I was young, like 12, like younger than that. Oh, can I change my answer
Absolutely.
a little bit?
Sure.
So at Christmas of 1978 or 77, one of the two, my brother got the first Boston album.
Hmm.
And I got the album Herbie Mann Fire Island, Herbie Mann's a jazz flautist. And I love the heck out of my brother's Boston album. So I think now, going back and thinking more, since I didn't think too good, it's going to be the first Boston album that grabbed me.
Okay.
Going with
See,
that.
this is the benefit of Ryan going second because Ryan's now had a chance to think about this.
Think about
Geez,
it.
I'm still thinking about it, but it's not Rush. And I can tell the story if you want, if we get to it. I got into Rush much later, but either a lot of the rock bands that I got into through like greatest hits albums. So I want to
Mhm.
not say that. I want to give you an actual record. So either Motley Crue's Dr. Feelgood or Metallica's Ride the Lightning, I would say probably.
Oh wow.
I like
First
Ride the
two
Lightning.
records.
That's probably my
Yeah.
favorite Metallica album.
Those
Yeah.
are probably the two first albums that I owned in full.
Okay. For me, it was Kiss Alive was my first favorite record.
Oh
But I grew up in the
wow.
Midwest, and you were contractually obligated in the '70s to love Kiss when you were a
Yes.
kid growing up in the Midwest.
Especially when it drives your parents kind of crazy. Because my mom was like, "Is that satanic music?" I'm like, "No, mom." Well, it stands for Knights in Satan's Service. I'm like, "Mom, it does not."
Mom, yeah, I
Yeah,
used to
my
get
parents think I'm crazy and they hate the things I do, right? You know, there's a
yeah,
song
yeah.
they wrote a song about that. It's called Flaming
Yeah,
Youth.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There you go.
I used to get crap from my parents about it all the time, and then I caught my mom doing the dishes singing "Shout It Out Loud" one day, and that was just
There
the
you
best.
go.
That was just the best.
That's
But
awesome.
so that's great. But Ryan kind of, not, I wouldn't say jumped the gun, but kind of had a premonition of where I was going. I do want to ask about each of you, how you got into Rush. When did you first become aware of them? What was your entry point? So I guess I'll start with Ryan this time since I made Jim go first last time.
Yeah, so this one I don't have to think about. This is an easy one. My entry point into rock and roll music was actually through Kiss. But so I guess funny enough, because Kiss toured with Rush in the early days. Well, Rush toured with Kiss, I guess, right?
Mm.
Um, yeah, but I my entry point into Rush was back in high school. This was 2007. I'm 30, the same year as Counterparts. I was a Counterparts baby. I like to say. Uh, so 2007, freshman year of high school, playing poker with my buddies. And my buddy plays Fly By Night from his BlackBerry at the time, and I go, "What is this? This is pretty good. I like this." And he goes, "This is a song called Fly By Night by this weird band called Rush." Okay, this is September, October-ish. I said, "Hey, mom, can you get me this greatest hits Rush album for Christmas?" So I got the Spirit of Radio greatest hits. Loved Limelight, loved Spirit of Radio, loved Free Will, and the rest is history. And then I just you know Power
Went from
Windows
there.
and Grace Under Pressure, and I got into moving pictures. Then I started buying the full records, and the rest is history.
Jim, what about you? What did you what was your entry point to Rush?
So it was 1982, and I was on like the school bus, and this friend of mine played Tom Sawyer, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what the heck is that?" They're like, "Oh, it's this song Tom Sawyer by this band Rush." I'm like, "Man, that's pretty good." He goes, "There's only three guys." I'm like, "Whoa, three guys making all that racket? That is awesome." So that the fact that they were a trio really grabbed me, and they were doing so much. Their parts were so great. They were busy, but busy in what I think is the right way. And we all know that their songs are fantastic, and their writing and their musicianship. We don't have to talk about that, right? But that's how I got into it. So I told my mom, like, "Oh man, I love this band Rush. I found out about them. I want to get an album." So she went out and bought me the wrong album because I wanted Moving Pictures. I got Signals, which was brand new at the time. And I'm like, darn it. So I put it on and listened to it, and I'm like, "Oh, this is awesome. I love it. I
Oh, this
love
is
this
the right
album.
album. Yeah.
This is great." So that's how I got into Rush.
Okay. I will tell you that my favorite Rush album is Signals. I had Steve and Jerry from Something for Nothing Rush fan cast on, and we talked about that album a little
Sweet.
bit. And yeah,
Yeah,
my
it's great,
favorites.
man.
My entry was very simple. I heard them on the radio, and I bought the 45 of Closer to the Heart. I actually had to sneak out of my neighborhood to go to the department store to buy it because I wasn't allowed to cross certain streets, but I did it anyway. And that became a favorite 45 of mine. And then we moved like about a couple of years after that, I guess. And I remember my buddy had Fly By Night, and I borrowed that, and I played the crap out of it for a couple of days, and then I was hooked. And then and that was early 80s by then. and
Mm.
and I remember MTV seeing the videos from Moving Pictures and going, okay, this band's really, really good. I like them a lot, and
Oh yeah.
went back went
Those
from there backward and forwards and got everything that they ever did.
yeah, those videos from the movie pictures, recording session, and then from Exit Stage Left, those are like some of my favorite videos of theirs.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. I
Oh
just
yeah.
the snowy scenes outside of the studio and all that, great stuff.
Heck yeah. Oh man, that's awesome.
All right, so I told you my favorite is Signals. Do you guys have a favorite Rush album?
Um it's I think I think I'm from an album perspective, I think I will go. It's so hard. It changes day by day, just like everybody, right? Signals is right up there. If I had to pick one, I would probably pick Signals because it was my first album I got, so it really does hold a special place in my heart. Well, I'll just do one because I could talk forever. So I'll say Signals. I'll
Okay.
be quiet.
What about you, Ryan?
So the wrong album is your favorite album.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Way to go, mom.
Yeah, way to go, mom. Way to go, Mrs. Benner. Yeah, so mine is Power Windows. Anyone that watches our channel will know that, but um Yeah, and I think that's the first full Rush record that I had was Power Windows. I think. But again, other than Greatest Hits, maybe it was Grace Under Pressure, but um, I would say Grace Under Pressure was probably my first favorite. But Power Windows was right up there at the time, and I've kind of grown to love Power Windows. Um, that's my license plate. I live in New York. If you see a car with the license plate of Power Windows with no vowels in it, that's me. But yeah, definitely. Love Snakes and Arrows too, and love Counterparts. They're and Signals. That's probably my top four, but and it fluctuates. But
All right.
Power
Well,
Windows.
so Counterparts was the 15th studio album for Rush, released October 19th, 1993. So not that long ago. It surpassed 30 years. And at the time, it's funny because the tour started in 1994, which would have made it the R20 tour if they had such a thing back then, the same naming conventions
Yeah,
that they adopted later.
right.
And interestingly enough, I don't think they played anything on that tour from the first 3 or 4 albums. They kind of concentrated on later stuff.
Oh wow.
But
Sounds about right.
just a really it was. I remember at the time I was that it came out. I didn't really catch on to it when it first came out, like I had been doing for every new Rush album. Because at the time I was trying to pay off medical bills while I was still a student, so I was um, working 3 jobs because I broke my
Oof.
ankle playing hockey and I didn't have
Oh,
insurance. So a trip to the
oh man.
emergency room and a broken ankle and crutches and all that adds up. So I was working a lot of jobs. I wasn't really listening to a lot of music at the time. So it really took me, I don't think I heard Counterparts until Test for Echo actually came out. And I think I bought them at the same time.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and so I wasn't ready for this sort of sea change in their sound. It wasn't ready for this I know that the band has said that they were influenced by uh, having Primus open for them and Pearl Jam and that kind of thing, and going to a more spontaneous direction, more guitar oriented. And I know that during the making of this album, there was a little bit of tension between Geddy and Alex because Geddy brought his keyboards into the studio, and Alex was like, you're just gonna put your keyboards all over everything," and that's not what happened. They really did go back to a more streamlined guitar and a trio sound. They used the keyboards for a little bit of more flavoring and textures, and they even put some strings on this thing. But this album made to number 2 on the US Billboard 200, making it one of the band's highest charting albums. Went to number 6 in Canada. What are you doing, Canada? They're your own guys. You gotta do better than that. Gold status in the US, but platinum in Canada because platinum's 100,000 sales in Canada. Recorded at Le Studio in Morin Heights, Quebec, and at McClear Pathé in Toronto. I hope I'm pronouncing that somewhat correctly.
The last one at List Studio, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. Produced by the band with Peter Collins
Peter
and
Collins, yeah.
Kevin Shirley recording it and
Oh
Michael
man.
Etho mixing it. So really an all-star lineup of people in charge of the knobs on this one.
Oh yeah, man. And listening to this, and I've talked about it and even wrote about it a little bit. I can't say enough great things about what Kevin Shirley did with this album. I mean, I think I'm no expert, but I think that he had a pretty good hand in what's going on and kind of brought things out of them. And that's how I think about it anyway. And I think it turned out incredible.
Yeah. So that obviously their heaviest album in quite some time from the band. Maybe the heaviest album they've
Yeah,
done.
I think so. I mean, from a full album perspective, yeah.
To that
It,
point, I would say, yeah.
yeah. So
To the
then
point, yeah, yeah.
you've got
Vapor
this.
Trails.
You've
Clockwork,
got
yeah.
that's true. Vapor Trails is a
Vapor
very
and
heavy
Clockwork,
album.
yeah.
So you've got these keyboards that already started to be used a little less on Presto. This was definitely a very much a. I'm one of those weirdos who loves Presto, but I do recognize that there's a sterility to the recording of it, the production, I guess. that I don't think does the band quite justice. I like Rupert Hine, but I don't maybe think he was the correct producer for them. But here they come back with this, and obviously music by Lee and Lifeson, like has been customary. Lyrics by Neil Peart, except for one song that's an exception we'll get into. And the personnel, you know them, you love them. Geddy Lee, bass, vocals, synthesizers. Neil Peart, drums and percussion. Alex Lifeson, electric and acoustic guitars. They had additional keyboards from John Webster, and Michael Kamen did the orchestration and conducting on Nobody's Hero for the strings. And guys, let's just get into it. Animate smacks you in the face first track. Neil counts the song in, which is unusual, and that already gives the album a little bit different flavor from the start.
Yeah, for sure. It's really cool hearing that count in, and the count in is so faint. Like Neil sitting there, with the mics all on his drums, because when you're recording, you do not have a vocal mic, right? Except for scratch vocal, which is going to be Geddy, right? So it's almost like it's picking up maybe his snare mic or something. It's picking that up, and it's really quiet, and it's like, wait, what is that? And you wind up turning it up a bit to hear it, and then you just hear the drums, and it's like, oh, cool. It sounds great. The groove that he plays in that is so good. It's such a nice groove in that, and even in subsequent live albums that he played, he sort of held it back a little bit on the groove, and I think he made it feel even better.
Yeah, I will say that Neil has stated that this is one of his favorite songs. That very proud of this song. Right from the get-go. So right from the get-go, you hear one of the band members put it. It's quite literally a return to their roots and a return to the nuts and bolts, hence the cover. The nuts and bolts of Rush, the hard rock, progressive metal, what kind of a band is Rush? It's Rush, to quote Gene Simmons, right? But yeah, and I think we definitely need to point out, the themes that run through this album too, right? As we start talking about these songs and these lyrics, counterparts, things that go together, duality. I mean, it runs through almost every song, if not every song, starting with Animate. And I could argue that Animate's a top 5 Rush song.
Okay.
I think Animate's that good. It's that good, and it's that important in their catalog. And it's obviously one the whole band loved too, because of how often they played it live after it came out, right? R30, R40.
Yeah.
Time Machine? No, they played a couple other ones from this record on Time Machine.
No, but it was on different stages.
Yes,
as well.
Different
so they
stages.
Did on the test for
so
Echo
3
tour.
different. So 4 tours out of like 6 or 7 right after. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So it's also interesting that they start with the chorus. It's not a normal thing for them to do either.
Right. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, they do. They do. And it's kind of cool that it's it doesn't really get super heavy until after that chorus. Right. So after the vocal comes in, and then the music gets a lot heavier, which for me really drew me in.
Now you could say this about almost any Rush song, but for me, the real joy for me is listening to that bass line from Geddy in this song, because it's amazing. And it was reportedly played through an amp that was rescued from the studio trash and repaired by one of the studio's techs.
I've heard that. Yep.
It's got great energy. It's a great album opener.
Yeah.
And phenomenal. This is everything with Alex. I'm a guitar guy, so I like to talk about the guitar solos, but a very perfectly executed guitar solo, very peaceful. The word peaceful comes to mind when I hear this guitar solo. It's not in your face, flashy. It's very atmospheric and I don't know, peaceful is the right word, but it's definitely a kind of a calming type guitar solo rather than, what's to come on the next 2 songs.
Yeah, I mean, that guy just has a knack for playing exactly what the song is.
Oh,
and
he's not the 3rd member of Rush that everyone forgets about. He's Alex friggin' Lifeson, and yes, 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
By the way, I do want to point out that all three of us have a Rush shirt on, and they're all three from different albums.
It's true.
So Ryan's wearing his Counterparts. You got your Grace Under Pressure. I got my Snakes and Arrows Armor and Sword shirt.
Nice.
So I was going to ask you guys before we go on to the second track, how many times have you seen the band live?
6. I've seen the band live 6 times. Twice on Time Machine, 3 times on Clockwork Angels, once on R40.
13. Every tour since Signals except for R30.
Okay.
So I've only seen it once on each of those tours, but I was not able to go to R30.
And I'm at an even 10. Started with Power Windows. Saw them on Presto. Saw them a couple times on Clockwork, or a couple times on Snakes and Arrows. In fact, my bachelor party was a Rush concert.
Oh, nice. That's a great bachelor party. That's a great bachelor party.
Yeah,
I got married after the band retired, or that probably would have been mine too.
Yeah, they were playing in Columbus a week before my wedding. So I drove up, hung out with my buddies, and said, we're going to see Rush. And I don't need strippers and stuff like that. Just let's go see Rush.
Might be the best bachelor party you could have ever planned.
Yeah. That was a great time. So
awesome.
Let's go to track 2, Stick It Out. First single from the album, came out October 93, debuted at number 1 on the Billboard Album Rock Tracks chart. The band's only number 1 debut, the only time they debuted at number 1. And there was a video for this one. And I believe that was a Beavis and Butthead video that they got to make fun of Rush on their show a little bit.
I think it was this song, yeah.
And it's to me, and maybe you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, because you are probably a little bit more expert on this band than I am, as much as I love them. I think this song might be the first time I recall hearing the so-called quote unquote Getty chorus background vocals. But I may be wrong. They really started to lean on those later in their career. They used them a lot.
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah, I mean,
could have been. Because I mean, like, plenty of songs on Test for Echo come to mind where they're doing that. Getty's dubbing his own voice, on the chorus and things like that. But yeah, I can't. Nothing earlier is just coming to mind, and I hadn't really thought about it. So. But yeah, that's true.
This might be the first appearance of the Getty chorus backing vocals. It's definitely noticeable in the chorus. Rush ended up using this technique for the rest of their catalog. Like I mentioned, I think it was Snakes and Arrows had it a lot too, but more on later albums. But this is a great riff-driven song. Ryan? What do you like about Stick It Out? What do you not like about Stick It Out?
Not much, I guess. We'll get to this later. It's my least favorite song on the record, believe it or not. Yeah, I don't know why. It just doesn't, this song about a guy sitting in a chair at the top of a pole doesn't really do it for me. To quote Getty introducing the song, of course, in reference to the music video. It's a play on words, but the title, I don't know. Stick It Out just doesn't do it for me. I don't have much to say about it. I'll let Jim talk this song up.
All right, Jim.
Yeah. Well, all right. So, in the early 90s, we saw grunge coming, right? The bands, great, fantastic bands, right? Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, all these guys, right? So to me, this is Rush's closest answer to that style, right? And it's really great that it's so heavy. It's very riff driven. It's a really, really cool riff. And Getty even says about his bass, his heavy bass, which is very heavy as well. He said, I love the riff. It's a great riff song. I love playing it. And it's a very bass heavy song, which always makes me happy. So that's a direct quote from Getty and from
Yeah,
Contents Under
but don't
Pressure.
don't don't
But
don't don't rule out the lyrically it's kind of so part of the quote
well,
too.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think that's
yeah.
where it loses me. Like I just don't
But
know what it's
yeah,
about.
and
Like
well,
I don't know.
I always
Well,
listen
I
to the
do, but I
music
don't.
first, right? So the heaviness of this and just kind of the the rocking of it, really gets me. And and I feel, and I actually wrote, I'm actually reading from something that I wrote about before, and I posted on Rushfans a long time ago. So this is me quoting me. I said Neil gives his Ludwig super classic drum kit a workout. You could feel the power and intensity of his playing. Not only on the song but on the whole record. But on this song, you could really feel that intensity, and I think that's what I really like about this song. With Alex Getty and Neil's playing, you feel that. I love the heaviness of it, and I love that it's melodic at the same time as being heavy, right? And I love the different tricks that Neil did, turning around, his ride cymbal pattern and things like that. I'm a drummer, so I always focus onto what Neil does. But I absolutely love the song, and it is way higher in my list than number 11.
Let me just put it this way: I don't hate the song. Like
Oh
I,
no.
I love all of Counterparts. It's just,
Yeah,
in my
it's
opinion,
just where it
the least best
lies. Yeah.
song on the record. Yeah, like I don't relate to this song for whatever reason. It
Yeah.
just isn't one of my favorites. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I think I don't skip anything on this album. I don't think I skip
No.
anything on any Rush album,
No, no,
but
No.
yeah, you do have favorites and lesser favorites, we'll call them.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
a good
It was
counterparts
a great one.
counterpoint by you, Jim. It is a good Neil song, and I will agree with Ryan.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the best song lyrically on this record, and or in their catalog for that matter. But uh, it's fine. I think it rocks. I definitely give it that.
It's fine. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'll give
That's
it.
my opinion.
I'll go to
Ah.
let's go to track 3, Cut to the Chase. Another great riff-driven song. Alex's solo on the demo was the one they used on the song.
Yep.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
I mean he got it right the first time. So what are you gonna do?
I mean, yeah, they quite literally cut to the chase with this one. I mean, the music is synonymous with the title, right? I mean, it's just very straightforward.
Yeah.
I will say, if there's any song on this record that is Alex Lifeson coming out of this synth era where he kind of had to pick and choose, this is the one where he's like, middle finger, F your synthesizers, right? This is the one where I'm going to show off, and he's not a show off guitar player. And maybe that's not what was intended here, but that's what I get from it, especially from this guitar solo, because this is a solo that a lot of
It's
people
killer.
love and call back to, much like the solo in The Analog Kid from Signals. I know you talked about Signals, last
Yeah.
time. It's a solo that it's a very memorable solo in that it's fast and rocking and gets straight to
Yeah,
the point.
it's almost like Alex is throwing kind of, I don't want to say everything, but he's putting a lot of different things together in that solo, whereas in a lot of other solos, he's really picking and choosing what he wants to do. Does he want to make it, fast, and kind of showy? Does he want to just make it pure melodic? Does he want to leave a lot of space? In this one, he's like throwing a few things together. And this is a killer solo.
Yeah,
he's playing.
Yep.
And even the riff is killer. It's crunchy, it's hard, it's heavy. You're right. It does sound like a metaphorical middle finger at a keyboard. The way he plays
Yeah.
it. All right, track 4. Track 4 is Nobody's Hero.
Yeah.
Obviously, this one was also a single, came out in April of '94. Great acoustic guitar opening. Or famously, Neil wrote this about a friend of his that happened to be gay, who he had known when he was in England and had grown apart from as he moved on with his life. And then he found out that he had died of AIDS and felt like he should be remembered for, just for the little things that he did, and not necessarily something that he did that affected the world, but just the people around him.
Right.
So I think lyrically, this is a fantastic song. Peter Collins was the one that suggested the strings on this, and Michael came and
Mm.
orchestrated and conducted. I love the subtle guitar solo between the first two verses. I think that's
Mhm.
an underrated aspect of this song.
That's what drew me to this song originally. When I actually heard this song for the first time through the Rush app that existed around the Time Machine tour, where
Oh wow.
some folks might remember this. Every album was represented by two songs in that app. There was two songs you could go into the app and listen to, and Nobody's Hero was one of the ones for Counterparts. And
Really?
that guitar solo was what drew me to this song originally. Now middle of the pack for me in terms of my favorites on this record, but I think it definitely talks about, right off the top, homosexuality and which is daring for that time. I mean,
Really?
you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
early 90s.
So,
Yeah, for sure. It was very
but
daring.
it's not all about homosexuality either. It's
Right.
quite literally about the title and nobody and um hero is the one that saves the drowning child or cures the wasting disease,
Right.
or that lands the crippled airplane or solves great mystery, not the handsome actor who plays the hero's role, the glamour girl who loves to sell her soul, you know, the champion player or the glamour boy. It's the voice of reason or the pride of purpose. And it all ties back into what's on this. I'm looking at this lyric sheet. Each song has its own little picture here, and it says, try to
Mhm.
hold
Oh, right.
some faith in the goodness of humanity.
Of
And I think,
humanity. Yeah.
in my opinion, it all ties back to that
Yeah.
specific line. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
That's
the
a
way that I like the way that it frames it, because he's right, because we do as a society value the wrong things in people,
yep,
and put
oh
emphasis
yeah.
and importance on
yep.
how far someone can hit a
Big
baseball,
time.
or how far somebody can kick a football or whatever. I mean, these are things that we think about, actors and musicians, and he certainly, Neil was a hero to a lot of people, but he didn't feel like one. He didn't live his life like
Right.
one. He didn't want to be one. He didn't think he
That's
should be
actually a
one.
really good point.
Yeah.
I wonder if
Yeah.
this is kind of
Absolutely.
self-reflective too. I never even thought of that until you just said that, Michael. Like, I mean, maybe this is a count. Hmm, I didn't do that on purpose. A counterpart to
But
to a song like Limelight in a way. Like maybe it
yeah.
is self-reflective because he was you like you said he was a lot of people's hero, but he he really shouldn't be, right? He's the I guess handsome actor. He's not an actor, but the handsome musician, right? He's
Mhm.
he's the entertainer that is people's heroes when he shouldn't be. It should be, and that's fine. It's okay to look up to those people, and it's okay to take inspiration from those people, from athletes, from actors, from
Mhm.
but they shouldn't be the people that we're putting on a pedestal above the actual heroes, right?
Yeah. I think that's
Right.
that's
Yeah.
there may be something to that. There may be something to that, because I mean, Neil was not shy about pointing out hypocrisy, even if it was something revolving
Right.
around him. So yeah, there could be some self-reflection in the writing of this as well. But I mean, I definitely love the duality of pointing out the real hero and the artificial one that he did in the song.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I agree. I mean, the lyrics, I love the lyrics in this too, oddly. Well, and this song, there's two songs on this album that sound like they don't belong as much as the others do, and only from the perspective of what does the music sound like. And to me, this is one of those, right? But the music is still great. It's not my favorite on this album. I absolutely love the lyrics, and like you guys said, like he's highlighting, sort of your everyday person that's doing something hopefully really good, positive, and memorable, and not somebody who's just famous for being famous, which I could go forever about that because I think that's ridiculous.
Mhm.
But
And the 90s are when a lot of those people came to the forefront.
yes,
Sure.
yeah, it kind of start and and things starting with the reality TV stuff when you had that whatever that MTV show was that I think kind of started most of this. It wasn't Big Brother, it was something else, but anyway, people got it being famous for being on there and whining
Yeah,
and
the
complaining.
Real
And I'm
World
like,
was the MTV show,
yeah,
right?
it was The Real World. That's the one. Yeah. So to me, they then everybody knows who they are because they're on TV whining and complaining about somebody in the other room.
Yeah.
So what, right? But how about the people, like the person who does save a drowning child, takes their own life into risk to do something good for their fellow man? That is the hero to me.
Yeah, and that's same with Neil, and that's what Neil was pointing
Yeah.
out. So I think it's and just you're right. It doesn't seem to fit on a heavy album. It's got the acoustic guitar, it's got the strings,
It's
but
beautiful.
yeah, it's really great.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's go to track 5, Between the Sun and Moon. I know
Where's the lake?
this is a lot of people's favorite song from the album. Lyrics by Neil Peart and Pi Dubois. First time that he co-wrote a song since Force 10, I believe. And
Yeah.
Alex does some really interesting stuff in this song. And it took me forever to realize what he was doing, but he's channeling his inner Pete Townsend, his inner Keith Richards, both in this song. And it's one of the few songs where it's obvious the band had some of these early influences that really came out on the Feedback EP.
Yeah.
Ryan, what you got for
This
this song, Between the Sun and Moon?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think it's a very good tune. Not I guess again, not one of my favorites, but definitely still solid. I mean, it's a solid middle of the record track. And I think they do a pretty good job calling back to kind of, that 60s vibe. And
Yeah.
yeah, he shares lyrics with, like you said, Pi de Bois, which is one of 4 tracks in the Rush catalog, Force 10, Tom Sawyer, and Test for Echo being the other 3. Um, yeah, I think he kind of credits Pi de Bois for contributing to some of his ideas and writing style with lyrics. So I think it's cool that he's credited.
Yeah. Jim, what do you got for this one?
Yeah, this one is great. And like I just took a peek at my ranking and it's not as high as it should be, but it's hard to put the anyway, I won't talk about that. But yeah, this is great. When they played this tune on I think they played this on the Test for Echo tour.
They definitely did it in Rio, because I have a story about that in a second.
Okay, well, because I remember anyway, I think it was Test for Echo, but anyway, it could have been another one. But I remember when Geddy introduced it, he goes, all right, he says something like, hey, we're gonna play another song. And yes, there is a lake between the sun and moon. And I nearly lost it because I was like, oh hell yeah. Because I love this song so much. It's heavy, it's melodic, it's got those cool drum fills in it. Yeah.
I remember
Musically, this is awesome.
It was done on Rio. Yeah.
So I got this thing on CD, right? And because the lyric sheets are tiny in CDs, I went a while before I looked at the lyrics. And I would have fought somebody over this. I would have fought somebody over the fact that I thought he was singing there is a link between the sun and moon, not a lake. I would have probably dropped the gloves over that. I would have probably bet a lot of money that I was right on that, and I was not right.
Wow.
The quick story I wanted to share. My buddy Matt Gluckman, anyone that watches our channel, his told me this story that his father was at one of these shows. I think it was probably the Vapor Trails tours, Russian Rio. Had to have been. Where when Geddy was singing, why the sun, a guy in the crowd next to my buddy Matt's dad was singing, why this song, more or less. Apparently didn't like this song very much. And I always thought that was a little bit
wow.
Not
That's
nice.
Weird.
Yeah,
no.
But solid track for me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, big time.
I will say that the lyrics aren't my favorite part of the song. I think Getty in that melody could have sang any words and it would have worked. They just yes to ah to yes. Why the sun?
I
Why
quite
the,
like that part, but
it's interesting and different, but it's every time I sing it, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense.
why? Yeah.
Just ah yes to yes to ah to yes. That sounds
Yeah,
like
it
something
doesn't.
John Anderson would come up with.
It sounds like something
It's
off a
a
Kiss record when they
it's
couldn't
a
figure out
band.
how to write lyrics. Yeah.
Yeah, for the band, yes, it should be a yes promo.
There you go. There you go.
Who knows? Maybe Pie Dubois put that in there.
Yeah. Now, was this you? Maybe you know this better than I do. Wasn't there a poem that Pi wrote that served as the basis for those lyrics?
Uh,
Uh, that sounds familiar, but that might have been
I don't know.
I can't recall, but it definitely happened, but it sounds familiar for sure.
All right. Well, let's move on to track 6, Alien Shore. This is this. I will say this: tremendous bass work throughout this song. I mean, you could say that
Oh
about a
gosh,
lot of
yeah.
songs. Um, I think this is for me the start of where this album takes a little bit of a dip, but again, not in a way that makes me think, oh, this is bad or that I want to skip it. Just less favorite. That's what I'm saying.
Mm,
Um, uh,
wow.
Jim, what do you think about Alien Shore?
My favorite song on the album.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I love it's such an upbeat rocker, and I love the counterpart of Getty's busy bass line versus Alex's sparse guitar. I think that sounds so great.
Yeah. Ryan, what do you pumped your fist?
So
Obviously, you
awesome.
like this one.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of things to say about this one. I'll try to be as quick as possible, but yeah, right.
Go ahead.
I'm reading this Rush song by song book. I know Jim's got it as well. It's a
Cool
fantastic
book.
read.
Oh,
If
it's awesome.
yeah, um, the first thing right off the bat is one of Lee's most adventurous bass lines on the album. I would say one of his most adventurous bass lines in the catalog. Um,
Wow.
but so the other two things, I will always say this whenever we talk about Alien Shore. I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to speak with Alex Lifeson and his band Envy of None, the side project with Maya Wynn, Andy
Yeah.
Kern, and Anna
I've had
Bellini.
Maya on the show. She
Yeah,
was great.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep,
Oh
yep.
yeah, she's really, really awesome.
I had a Zoom call with them back in June of 2022, and I had to ask Alex Lifeson this question. And I said, "What is being said at the beginning of Alien Shore?" Because forever it's been debated online. It was men about oars, or
That's
Alex
what I thought it
holding his
was.
nose and saying "out of my nose." It's neither. It's actually Falabalush, which I don't know how you spell that, but Falabalush, and it's Kevin Caveman Shirley, the recording engineer, supposedly yelling into Alex's pickups. So I'm not a
Oh.
I don't know anything about the technical aspect of that. I don't know how that works, but this is straight from the horse's mouth. That's what Alex Lifeson told me.
Wow.
And Fada Baruch is caveman speak, or Kevin Caveman Shirley speak for I'm so tired. So hopefully Rush mystery solved for anyone that was wondering that.
Wow.
The second thing, uh, lyrically, I mean, this is, and I'll reference the lyric sheet again. But
Oh yeah.
it talks about sex is not a competition, race is not a competition. Um, you know, color and culture, language and race, just variations on a theme, islands in a much larger stream. I love that lyric,
Yeah.
because it's basically saying, you know, we're all, in my opinion, it's kind of saying we're all humans, right? We're not black
Mm.
versus white, male versus female.
Yeah.
We're not defined by those things. We're all humans, and we're all just quite literally islands in a much larger stream. And um, it's a really fantastic song,
Yeah.
of course, and you know, you and I, we must dive below the surface, right? And reaching for the alien shore. It's like we we're trying to,
Yeah.
reach to steal from half the world. We're trying to reach the other half. We're trying to reach those
Yeah.
other folks in life. And I think,
Yeah.
um, it kind of calls back to Nobody's Hero. Try to hold some faith in the goodness of humanity. I think a lot of what Rush is just be a good person,
Yeah.
be
Absolutely.
kind, be nice, and I
Yeah,
think
for
that's
sure.
reflective in
For
this
sure.
song. Like
Yeah. I
a
mean,
metaphor.
Neil even mentioned in Merely Players that the polarity should be reconciled.
Yeah, I will say I do like the
The same
lyrics in this
thing.
one quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's a great song lyrically, and we should be diving below the surface. We don't do that enough
Oh
as
yeah.
as as a people. I mean, look what's going on in the Middle East right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We are all
Yeah.
made of the same stuff. We all came from the same stuff, and we'll all return to the same stuff. And in the meantime, we just have to point out that there's one thing different about you than me, and I don't like it. So stop. We just focus on that stuff. And Neil was he wouldn't have any of that nonsense.
Well, right at the end, I mean, it says, you know, we hold these truths to be self-evident. We'd elect each other president. But then the just about the last line is, we might agree. So again, we might
Hmm.
agree. We are reaching for the alien. At least make an attempt. That's, I think, what he's saying, right? And nobody's perfect, but make an attempt to reach out to those that are different or alien to you, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
God, I miss that guy.
Oh yeah. Jeez.
all right.
Heck yeah.
Man.
Gosh.
All right. So we'll again, I love the bass work in that song. It's some of the best that he's done.
Yep,
It's
yep.
let's go to number 7, The Speed of Love. And again, I think this is for me the part of the album that dips a little bit. This I feel like this
Oh.
is the most meh song on the album to me, and maybe in the Rush
Oh.
catalog. But I like it. I don't skip it. I sing along to it. It's just again down the rankings a bit for me. Jim, what do you got?
Yeah, I'll go
Well,
first. Like, oh,
Oh,
go ahead,
Ryan,
Jim.
yeah.
Ryan, you go first. I don't care who goes first. You guys.
All right, I'll go.
No matter.
I
Go
think
ahead.
I will just say I will counter what you said, Michael. I actually like the second half of the album more than the top half of the
Okay.
album. Every single one of these songs from Alien Shore onward, I adore, and this being one of them. I will say I still don't know what the speed of love is or what that means, but I like you. I do always find myself singing along to the lyrics. I mean, it's a mid-tempo love-ish song, right? I mean, kind of calling back
Hmm.
to Roll the Bones, Ghost of a Chance,
Mm.
Heresy, some of these mid-tempo um, Rush songs. But yeah, I mean, it's the speed of love. I don't know. Maybe it's when you're in a relationship, when you're in a loving relationship, the speed is a metaphor for emotions change. Sometimes you're really digging it. Sometimes you're kind of disconnected from it. That's kind of what I think he's meaning here. But and of course those two things are counterparts, right? But
Hmm.
lyrically, yeah, I mean, or I should say the title. I still don't know exactly what's trying to be said here, but I do love the song. I I think it's a fantastic mid-tempo Rush song.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And Neil talked in a Modern Drummer interview that love is at least in songs, I guess maybe it is painted as sort of this perfect relationship. So he was trying to bring this back to reality. It's not perfect, right? And even the lyrics reflect this, right? So one lyric that I grabbed that I wrote about before too is love shines in many forms. One night we are bathed in light, one day carried away in the
That's the
storms. So things
counterparts.
change, right? That's the counterpart, and things change. And with
Mhm.
relationships and love, that changes too. You have your good days and your bad days, but you always work, to work it out. And this is a great mid-tempo rocker. I think there's enough in here, I think, to keep it interesting, to keep listening to. Neil did, and of course I'm a drummer, so I have to focus on this, right? He incorporated a lot of different techniques in this. He's got different accents on his hi-hat pattern when he's playing the verse groove. He's got some upbeat accents. Then he goes into like a marching snare drum deal, to bring back out of that transition back into a chorus. And I mean, I have never ever skipped a song.
Yeah. And again, I don't. And I think that's what's great is we all love Rush, and all Rush fans have their own opinions, and
Yeah,
and
That's fine. Yeah.
certain one guy will say, "Oh, I don't like this song." I know people that
yeah.
leave concerts early because they don't want to hear Tom Sawyer again, and it's like that's ridiculous to me. But what are you doing, man?
Well, yeah.
I will add.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Jim. I was
No,
just
no,
saying.
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Good.
We don't have to talk. We don't even have to touch. I
Oh,
can
yeah.
feel your presence in the silence that we share. That speaks volumes because, like, when you're
Oh,
in
yeah.
love with someone, you kind of know what they're thinking without even them talking, right? In the silence that you share, and got to keep on moving at the speed of love. Nothing changes faster than the speed of love. Got to keep on shining at the speed of love. Nothing changes faster than the speed. So it's like keep on keeping on. Like you're in love with that person, things are going to be good and bad, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
pushing along.
And I think because the way he says that, nothing changes faster than the speed of love, because the speed of love is not constant. It's
Right.
it's
Exactly,
frenetic in the beginning when everything is new and fresh, and then
Yeah.
it gets a little more comfortable and laid back after a while, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
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 Guy was pretty
No,
smart. That's why they called him the professor.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I will say though, it again, I don't skip it. It's a good song. I just feel like, for me, I love the front half of this album and the last couple of tracks so much that it just by comparison it makes the others seem a little less standoutish for me. Let's move on to track 8, Double Agent. And this is a song that for me it sort of gets things back on track for me a little bit. I love the riff. I like that Rush went in a new direction, was brave enough to put this song on the album with spoken word lyrics. That's not something that they do. I mean, when's the last time they had spoken words? A Necromancer?
Yeah, the
Oh
Twilight Zone,
gosh,
maybe.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, maybe so.
Subdivisions,
Wow.
but
Yeah,
that's
just
not
one word.
count.
Well, but if you think of something like the Necromancer, there is the spoken word just sort of telling the narrative there,
Yeah.
and Double Agent has that. It's different. Like they execute it in a different way. But yeah, this is the other song that I thought fit not as much as like Nobody's Hero did with the rest of the album, but it does have that heaviness.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like with Nobody's Hero doesn't have the pure heaviness that a lot of the other songs do. Right. This does have the heaviness. But yeah, there are some differences. And you're right. I mean, it's great they did something different and take chances. And I love it when they do that, because I think that's what makes Rush. They're doing their own thing, and they're like, hey, let's try this.
Yeah, and I like the counterbalance between this spoken word sort of film noir narration type of verses, and then you get the melodic chorus. I think it plays off each other very well.
This is and Jim knows this. This is a top 10 favorite Rush song of mine. And originally, the first couple times I heard this song, I hated it, and because I had these lyrics on the edge of sleep, I was drifting for half the night. That part, the spoken word, the deep spoken word, stuck in my head when I was trying to sleep a night before a golf tournament. I was playing it. I was already to go to a golf tournament. I couldn't sleep because friggin' Double Agent was stuck in my head. And there I was on the next morning on 3 hours of sleep with Double Agent still stuck in my head on the golf course. I'm like, this song sucks because, but random story that I somehow remember. But it's one of my favorites now. I've just come to love this song. Getty says he described this song as a complete exercise in self-indulgence.
Yeah.
He fancied a change of pace and have a track where the band has a bit of a rave. He said in another interview, this is where they got their yayas out. He introduces this song on Counterparts tour as a song that is a bit demented, and it is. I mean, it's Counterparts. It's, you know, to me, it's the line that perfectly describes what this song is about to me is my angels and my demons at war, and that
Mhm.
is what is on the lyric
Oh
sheet.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
My angels and my demons at war. It's like, the angel on one shoulder, the devil on the other shoulder in cartoons type of thing. I mean, that's kind of what I get from this song. But the choice between darkness and light.
Yeah, I wonder how many counterparts there are in the lyrics to this song. You talked about the angels,
Oh man.
devils, and then the darkness and light. I mean, there's got to be way
Yeah.
more than that in
Right.
there.
For
The
sure.
duality was very, very much on Neil's mind in the writing sessions for this. And
This was one of the
Yeah.
last songs recorded for the record too, for what it's worth.
I just
Mm.
find something new every time I listen to this album. It's so cool.
Yeah.
It
Yep.
is.
All right. From the spoken word to no words at all, go to track 9, Leave That Thing Alone.
Yeah.
This one was nominated for a Grammy Award for Best Rock Instrumental Performance. Do you know what beat it?
Behind
Uh,
My Camel. But right? Behind My Camel from or was that no,
uh
was that YYZ? That was
That was YYZ.
oh
oh
wait.
oh
Was it something from the Police?
It was not.
Oh,
It was Marooned by Pink Floyd.
wow. Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Wow.
So Pink Floyd beat out Rush. I guess if you're going to lose to somebody, there's no shame in losing out
well,
to Pink
Behind My
Floyd.
Camel was The Police. That was
Yeah.
released in 1980. That's okay. Yeah, that's what beat out YYZ
Yeah.
or YYZ for the Canadian speakers. That's what beat that out in 81.
Yep. Yep. So this thing is it's a good solid instrumental, very cool guitar melody in this thing. Um it became sort of a concert staple for them. I think they got a lot of mileage out of this and they seem to enjoy
For
playing it.
sure.
Again, all three of these guys just virtuosos. I mean, you can listen to
Oh
this
yeah.
song 3 times in a row, focus on each player, and just be amazed at what you
Oh
hear
yeah.
differently.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
you're right.
Yeah, it's I love instrumentals just in general. And yeah, this one's so great just with how it starts with them, them all together, and Getty's bass line that comes in, shortly after, you know, just the changes that Neil has. He does like a jazzy thing in here. He's got some, African styled rhythms that he's playing there. I believe he's doing I believe he's triggering a tambourine with his foot. And probably when they was recording that, they did that too instead of overdubbing it. I'm gonna assume, maybe. I don't know. Live, I know live he does that anyway. He'll do that. He'll trigger stuff with his foot.
Yep.
Yeah, this is just a great instrumental that's got a few things in it, right? A few of those different flavors in it.
Yeah, and I like the humor from the band, the callback to "Where's My Thing," and then leave
Yeah,
that thing
yeah.
alone.
Leave that thing alone. Yeah, yeah.
No connection between the two other than the word
Just
thing,
the title.
the
Yeah,
title. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
I don't have much to say about it other than I love it. I mean, I don't have much to say about instrumentation. I mean, I definitely feel like Alex's guitar playing is that provides the vocals in this song,
Yeah,
right? I mean, like that
Yeah,
to me. I love it.
yeah.
I love his solo. It might be my favorite Rush instrumental, actually. Even
Really?
wow.
it's definitely up there
Even more so than everybody's proper favorite, like La Via Strangiato.
than La Villa. Yeah, it's
Ah, okay.
yeah, it's up there. It's definitely. I love it. I love this. I
Yeah,
love this instrumental.
it really is. And you got the synths in there too, right?
Yeah.
And I think the way that they're used, that's really providing more of a texture to me. Yeah, it's not the synths are not trying to take a forefront.
Right.
And because I think in other albums where the synths were doing that, Alex had to sort of, find his spot. And I always thought he found his spot like in such an amazing way. It's just a hallmark of a fantastic musician to be able to do that. But I don't think the synths are taking that forefront like they had in the past on this tune.
Yeah, I think that Getty did a good job of reining that in and just using them for depth and texture
Yeah.
and giving Alex his space. And I like what Ryan said. I think that's perfect. The perfect thing to say about it, that the guitar serves as the vocals in this song.
Yeah. Yeah.
And don't forget the dancing seahorses on the friggin' big screen behind them on the Time Machine tour. Whatever those things that are like bopping up and down. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, no, I'll have to watch that again. It's been
Go
a while
watch
since I've seen the video. It
go
was
watch
on
the Time
on Time Machine?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was much more noticeable when you were there in concert, but like within the first minute of
Oh,
the
yeah.
song, look at the screen behind them. There's like these, it's like black screen. It's like these black seahorses with these white spots on them, like these bopping up and down like seahorse looking things. It's the goofiest,
Okay.
dumbest thing, but it always caught my attention, and I always think of that when I hear this song. Just these
Okay.
seahorses bopping up and down.
Yeah,
So dumb.
one of the
I'll have to
coolest
check it out.
things. One of the coolest things about them is the stuff that they added to their live shows that just
Right.
Oh my gosh,
off the
yeah.
wall. I mean, the
So great.
rotisserie chicken cooking behind them and all that stuff. It's
That's
just,
great. Yeah.
oh man, love the I would have loved to have caught one of the shirts from the dryer, but I just I
Yeah.
never had seats that good that late in their career.
Yeah. Yeah. Same here. Same here.
All right, we're moving right along. We get to track 10, Cold Fire. I'm gonna spoil this right now. This is my favorite song on the album and one of my very favorite Rush songs. Just
Nice.
fantastic opening riff, incredible drumming, excellent lyrics. The vocal performance, the chorus is so good. The pre-chorus is good and the chorus is good. And I love the way the lyric plays out as, I said this and she said this, and it's very, very cool. And again, different for Rush.
Yeah. Yeah, lyrically for sure, because it's about a relationship with two people, right? Not a love song. And it even says this is not a love song, right? The lyric says that. But it is really a relationship song. And if you read through the lyric sheet, it kind of sounds like it could be a conversation. That, who knows if that conversation turned into an argument later on, or if they sort of rein that in. I guess that's up for us listeners to decide what happens, lyrically in our head, as they go on. But yeah, this is a great tune, and I love the counterpart in the music between the verse and the chorus. Right? There's enough changes in the verse. I mean, Neil is even using an electric snare sound, and it's really kind of changing up, very much changes up the sound and almost the feel a little bit. And then when they hit the chorus, he's back to hitting his primary snare, and just totally rocking. So I love that. I love that difference that they're doing there in the music too.
Yeah. Ryan, you a fan of Cold Fire?
Yes, I am, very much so. And the counterpart in the title too. Cold Fire. I mean, fire's not cold, fire's hot, right?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
but
and it's a little country ditty.
Yeah, it's a good old fashioned country song called Cold Fire, as he introduced it on Counterparts.
Introduced it that.
But yeah, I mean,
funny.
What other Rush song uses the phosphorescent wave on a tropical sea as a cold fire? The pattern of moonlight on the bedroom floor is a cold fire. The flame at the heart of a pawnbroker's diamond is a cold. Is that a wedding band that's being pawned after a negative conversation? I mean, like, the look in your eyes as you head for the door is a cold fire. And then how it how the song ends, how they take the song out is love is blind if you are gentle, love can turn to a long, cold burn. And again, a counterpart there too, right? So
Yeah. I think this is Neil at his most literary. That's one of the things I love about this song is that chorus and the juxtaposition of the ultimatums that it sounds like she's giving him. Don't break the spell, don't cross the line, and then he goes to those things you just read out, which are they're all individual things. They're all things of great beauty. The phosphorescent wave, the pattern of moonlight, the diamond, and even her eye. But there's no warmth in any of those things.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
yeah, I think this is.
That's
I mean,
true.
it literally states part of the lyrics is this is not a love song. This isn't fantasy land. And I think it's
Yep.
yeah, I think it's the negative aspects of love, right? I think whereas the speed of love, obviously we talked about how that can go both ways, but I would say probably more from a positive perspective. In my opinion, this is kind of the counterpart to that song, in that this is kind of the negative aspect of love and what kind of can happen
Yeah.
with love, right?
Yeah,
Kind of how I take it.
and to me, this conversation that I see in the lyrics is happening to me with two people who are at the early stage of their relationship. Not somebody who's been married for like 20 years, but more of the
Yeah, that's a
earlier
good point.
stage, right? Because I mean, some of the lyrics, right? I got it right.
I'll be your
All
partner
right, well,
or whatever.
yeah. She's, sure, my heart is boundless, but don't push my limits too far. So it's like you're trying to get to know each other. Don't disappoint me. You know how complex women are, right? So it's kind of like to
That
me, I mean, maybe others will interpret it differently, but
yeah.
that's how I interpret it.
I like the
I've
way
always
that you're.
wondered. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. I was just going to say I like the way that the roundtable talked about it in terms of you know I'll be around if you don't push me down too far or if you don't
Yeah.
let me down too far. So I'm in
Right.
this, but you know
Yeah.
Just don't
there are
cross the
limits.
line.
Don't
Yeah.
Yeah,
screw it
exactly.
up. Don't
Yeah.
screw it up.
Yeah.
I've always wondered this one, and I think I know the answer, but where is it? You we talked about it. You know how complex women are. Is what's being said here? Is it complex women? Some women are complex, and you know how those women are, or is it women as a whole, and you know how women can be complex? Like what? You get what I'm asking? Like what is
Yeah.
it? Like
I
what is he
do.
trying to say?
I
Yeah.
do.
And that's a
Is
I'm
lyric
it
in.
that
some women that are complex, or is it all women are
yeah.
complex as a whole? Like what is he saying there?
That's
Right?
see that's the
Or
thing that
both?
bothers Jerry that bother when I had Stephen Jerry on that line bothers him. Um, I there's a couple of ways you can interpret that because he's talking about what I said, what she said, or what I she said, just don't disappoint me, and it could be that she's given him like a little jab with how complex women are, or it could be him saying she said,
Or
just
is
don't
it him?
disappoint me. And then him back to him saying, how
Yeah,
complex women are.
yeah.
It could be him, the narrator telling the story.
And it's funny you say that because I
Yeah,
think I had
true.
that conversation with Jerry years ago, and he brought that up to me, and it got me thinking, like, what is it? Like, what is it? I think he's saying, I think it's the man saying women as a whole are complex, but just the way that which in my experience is true. But they're hard not to crack, women. But no, I think I think yeah, it's definitely it definitely makes you think, and it definitely lets you this song as a whole, and every Rush song, it lets you form your own opinion, and I think
Yeah.
that's why we're here having this discussion, or why we have these Rush roundtables, or so on and so
Yeah.
forth. Why we can talk about
Neil even mentioned in Contents Under Pressure that he said, and I'll just take part of this. He said that this managed to be a grown-up, he's talking about like a relationship, right, with the mystified guy and the smart girl. then he goes, I like the
Yep.
subtext to that. The guy is kind of dumb and she's really smart and cynical. So it's like they're doing the counterpart of, you know, how are each of the, you know, the different people in the relationship being, and the guy happens to be the one who's, you know, kind of an idiot, and the girl's like super smart.
That's often the case,
which is very, very much so.
Yeah.
That is usually the case.
I mean, that's the thing, is that's why you know, they are such a mystery to us, because they are complex and we're simple, and they don't believe that we're as simple as we are.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think about?
Right.
Nothing.
Nothing.
They don't believe
Really
that for
not.
a second. And you're really not thinking about anything.
It's like,
Yeah.
I saw this meme on the internet years ago, and it's like, women can think back. They remember something that happened in a conversation 12 years ago, but when it comes to asking a man, you know, do you have a paperclip? Yeah, it's on the right side of my desk, right below the garbage. Like, they know the stupid shit like that, like the it's right there, like they know where all that stuff is. But God forbid you open the fridge and, you know, where's the bread, and it's staring right at you in the face, and she has to tell you, but like, that's you know, I think
or
strangers
or
buy one chromosome, right?
Yeah,
like, which is talked about in
heaven forbid
Alien Shore.
You forget your anniversary.
Yeah, right.
Oh my goodness.
Or the day you started dating, like a million years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't got to worry about that part. The anniversary, I got that.
Good.
Got the important stuff down.
And I
No,
just
it's all
love
important.
I just
Because
love that
women are
opening
so
riff to
complex.
the song too. The riff to the song, that
Yeah.
it's again, so they did so many things on this record that they had never really done before, and that's what makes it such an interesting album.
Well, Neil said in Beyond the Light of Stage, you know, what's the quote? It's the words that doesn't suit Rush have never been uttered, right? And this song, they do so many different things on this song, you know. They do a lot of different, they take a lot of different approaches with you know, but I just love the fact that the theme runs through it completely throughout.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
So here we are finally at track 11, Everyday Glory.
Yes.
I love that the album concludes with such a positive message. At the end, though we live in trying times, we're the ones who have to try. Though we know that time has wings, we're the ones that have to fly. This song is a perfect microcosm of the album's running theme of duality, you know, anima, animus, male, female, all of that. It's heartbreakingly brutal in the verses, but yet, but it's still an uplifting song somehow.
Yeah. That first verse is very heartbreaking. You know, just like the imagery that he's painting of, you know, I get this picture. I probably can't say this without tearing up, right? But this picture of this girl just like this, you know, shutting her eyes and just hoping it all stops, and that's sad.
Yeah,
that's so
it's
sad.
like from a bird's eye view of what's going on in this girl's life.
Yeah. My gosh, that's oof.
Yeah, you're right. The image of that he paints of the girl, maybe she's rocking back and forth trying to shut out the sounds of her parents arguing. And you got the lyric sheet in front of you. I'm trying to go off memory. It's something to the effect of that right now she doesn't matter, or something along those lines. It's God, that's just
they can fight about their little girl later. Right now, they don't care at all.
Yeah. That's
the girl becomes an afterthought, right?
Right. Yeah. And that's oof. Yeah, that's tough. There's one of the reasons I like this song is so much. I mean, I love the music, but the lyrics in this song are just incredible to me. You know, everything from that heartbreaking first verse to a little bit more of like the mundane life they talk about in the second verse, you know. But you know, we still try to carry on, right?
Yeah. And I think that's part of the point of this, is that we've got to get past our crap and think about the stuff that matters.
Yeah.
and the
Yeah, we
stuff that's
do, for
important and
sure.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I was listening a bit to Something for Nothing, um, Jerry and Steve's podcast today as I, prep for this, and our episode of Rush Roundtable for this song will come out literally tomorrow. I assume this you're recording probably. I don't know when this will be out, but today's November 9th. So folks can check out Everyday Glory then on our channel. But one thing Jerry said that stuck with me about the song is he said that it's a that ending section, I guess verse, if the future's looking dark, all the way down to we're the ones who have to fly. He basically said that it kind of doesn't fit. Like it's lyrics that should have been placed somewhere else in a different song because he's just not a fan of the rest of the song.
Mm.
I'd have to
Mhm.
disagree completely. Like
Yeah.
that. I don't know if that's exactly the quote, but something to that effect, right? So I will say that verse is my favorite Neil lyric ever. And I think a lot of folks can agree that it's probably a top five Neil
Yeah.
lyric
It's
verse in the catalog. But I don't,
yeah.
and it certainly does kind of stand above the rest of the song. But I don't think it, I don't think it makes the song bad in that regard. Like I don't think it needs to be placed in another song. I do think there are parts of this song that kind of drag a little bit. They kind of become a little bit boring. Um, and I always find myself waiting, for that guitar solo and for that ending verse. But that doesn't mean
Mm.
I don't dislike the rest of the song because of that. I guess
Hmm.
that's kind of where I'm going with it. No matter what they say, everyday people, everyday shame, everyday promise, shot down in flames. Rise from the ashes, a blaze of everyday glory. I mean, that's all good stuff. That's all very sing-alongable.
Hmm.
Is that a word?
Yeah.
Is that a phrase? Yeah,
It is
right. So,
now.
it is now.
Sure.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's parts that are kind of boring. Not, but it definitely is a. I think it's a fantastic ending to the record. I think it's a
Oh, it
fantastic
is.
closing song.
Yeah, this is. I think this song was put at the perfect spot in this record to be the closing tune, and I think there's so much. Even though the lyrics start out dark, they end in such like a realistic but positive note.
Yeah,
I
right.
think, and I think that makes the album end in a very positive, way that kind of almost makes you smile just because of the positivity. Is that a word? Probably positivity
One
of it.
It is.
glow of hope
Right.
and dignity, a child can follow the light.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the
It's
positive too. Yeah.
this is this is such a great song, and it is one of my favorites. You'll see where it is, but it is definitely you know it's great. I mean, and musically, when you listen to it, you could hear Getty, Alex, and Neil's parts, very distinctly. I can hear them very distinctly, but it's the what? How do I want to word it? It's kind of the sonic togetherness of it that does it for me. So how the three instruments really come together, and how they mesh that creating this song for all you weird nerdy musician types for your aural sensitivity. So yeah, it gives a little dance there.
Yeah.
Let me read this.
It's so great.
Peart's inspiration for Everyday Glory came, like many of his lyrics, from his travels. While many cynics
Yeah, yeah.
disagree, this song stems from his belief that in all neighborhoods of the world, the heroes still outnumber the villains. And
Yeah, I hope that's true.
there are a
I do
lot of
too.
good people, and there are a lot of good people in the world, and there are bad
Yeah,
people,
there
but
are.
there
Yeah,
are
yeah, for
still a
sure.
lot of good people in the world.
A lot of good people, yeah.
We
Jim,
read
you
about
said,
the exceptions in
Yeah.
the papers every day.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, the bad people get more pub.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do. Yeah.
Jim, you said something about the, being the perfect ending track for this album, and I don't think you could put it anywhere else on the record except at the
No,
end.
no.
And it's because of the way it builds. It really builds to that
Yeah.
climax at the end. And I feel like there's nowhere to go on the record from that point on. So you have to have it last.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So,
A lot
gentlemen,
like a lot like the Garden in that respect, right?
oh,
Oh,
I could do
yeah.
5 shows
Ooh.
just on the Garden alone.
Interestingly, I know this is not at all about Clockwork Angels, but have still not listened to that song since Neil's passing.
Really? That was the first song I listened to just to get out of the way on my
Yeah.
car ride home from work.
I know whenever I do, it's the last thing I'll say about that. I know whenever I do, I need to have a box of tissues next to me.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
I couldn't get through that song without crying before he passed.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm driving to work and I'm like, pushing the tears away, while I'm driving to work. Yeah.
Pushing back the tears till the pain disappears.
Yeah, but yeah, this great song, this Everyday Glory.
Yeah.
Fantastic album, Counterparts. Just
all right.
Incredible.
Any closing thoughts, Ryan, on Counterparts?
Yeah, go listen to it. Spin it top to bottom, and
heck yeah.
Give
us some love.
Fantastic record. I think top five Rush album in my opinion. Not in terms of just my favorites. I think speaking from an objective standpoint, I think it's that good. I think it can stand up to. I think there's enough quality content on this record that it can stand up to. This is probably a hot take, but can stand up to Moving Pictures or can stand up to Signals or Permanent Waves or 2112. I said this in a episode of The Contrarians. Counterparts is better than 2112. It's a more complete record.
I think it's more. I think it's more consistent for sure.
Yeah,
for sure
I think it's a better. I think it's a better record. I think it's more consistent. I think it's more complete. I think it's a better overall record.
From a pure a front to back album perspective, it is way more consistent than 2112 is.
But keep in mind, my Rush listenings went from back to front more or less, not in order, but like obviously I started in 2007 as opposed to fans that started in 1976 and started with 2112. That obviously holds a special place in a lot of people's hearts.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of my discovering of Rush just going back. Oh, let me listen to that album or let me listen to that song, as opposed to buying them as they progressed and came out. So I have a different perspective of how I don't look at these records as, oh, this came out in 93. What other records came out in 93? Let me compare it to that. I compare them to each other, right? So I have so there's that aspect of it, but like what you like.
Yeah, and you're certainly, sure. I mean, just like Jim said earlier, I mean, Signals was his first, so he named it as his favorite. And that's the thing, is you develop a bond with the first one so often. Like I can't even tell you how many albums are on these shelves or on these shelves over here that I would say my favorite one is the first one I had from that band. That's normally the case. There are exceptions, obviously, but yeah. I mean, because that's the one that drew you in. So it's always got that special place in your heart that is really hard to overcome sentimentality.
Yep.
So, but anyway, that's our Counterparts discussion. But before we go, we're gonna talk about our ranking order. And I know it's gonna like rattle some cages, because it always, this is the kind of thing that you always get you get the emails about, you get the comments about. But which of you gentlemen would like to go first?
I'm ready. I'll go.
I'll go.
Okay, you go.
Either way, I'll go. All right. So I'm just gonna say that this is not easy.
It's not.
This was not easy. So on my ranking. So do you want me to go from 11 up to 1 or 1 down to 11?
Sure. Let's do it Casey Kasem countdown style.
So 11 up to 1.
Yeah.
Okay. So every song on this album is amazing, but if I have to put them in order, I would probably do something like this. So nobody chastises me too horribly bad, just a little bit. Okay. All right. So number 11 at the very bottom, I'm going to put Double Agent. Yeah, I know. I know.
You're getting scoffed at already.
You're not gonna like my number 10 either, right? You're not gonna like my number 10, and it's because musically this doesn't fit as well as the other ones. It's Nobody's Hero. And while I love the lyrics to that, it's just I don't know. Number 9, Michael, you're gonna be not happy with me, is Cold Fire. And again, I love the songs. I love them all.
Yeah.
So number 8, Cut to the Chase. Number 7, Between Sun and Moon. Number 6, Leave That Thing Alone. So it's kind of we're right sort of in the middle now. Okay. Now, number 5, Stick It Out. I do love that song. Number 4, this might be unpopular with some people going, why has he not mentioned this song yet? The Speed of Love. The Speed of Love is pretty high up there for me. Number 3, Animate. Number 2, Everyday Glory. Number 1, Alien Shore.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of like ranking your children.
Oh, yeah, it's impossible, right?
It is. All right. Ryan looks like he's ready to rebut.
Yeah, I mean, well,
I'll try not to scoff at yours.
Yeah, I mean, real quick. So I said this at the beginning. Stick It Out is at the bottom. Stick It Out is 11. Then Between Sun and Moon at 10. Nobody's Hero at 9. Leave That Thing Alone at. No, I'm going to switch this around. We'll go Cut to the Chase at 8. See, this is it. It's like
editing on the fly.
Yeah. Stick It Out, Between Sun and Moon, Nobody's Hero, Cut to the Chase, Leave That Thing Alone, Cold Fire at 6, The Speed of Love at 5, Everyday Glory at 4, Alien Shore at 3, Animate at 2, and Double Agent at 1. I think, but no, I mean, I think, like I said, other than Animate, you know, all the tracks from the second side are in my top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So, I definitely gravitate to the. I think Michael, a lot like when you said you think it starts to cool down, and I think that echoes what a lot of Rush fans, like a lot of what the fan base thinks. Like it does start to cool down there. I actually think it starts to pick up. So those are my, and these are some of my favorite songs in the whole catalog, right? I mean, Double Agent, Animate, Alien Shore are probably all top 20 Rush songs.
Yeah. So your number 1 was my number 11.
I know that's pretty funny.
I loved it. And it's a song that I hated in the beginning too. I mean, I love this record. I mean, I freaking bought.
I love this record.
Poster of it, right? So I think it's fantastic album.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll give you my rankings, and I will say I have out of these 11 songs, I absolutely love 10 of them, and 1 I just like. So there's no dislike here. So there's no attempt to diss any songs. But my 11 is The Speed of Love. My 10 is Leave That Thing Alone. 9 is Alien Shore. 8 is Double Agent. 7, Cut to the Chase. 6 is Everyday Glory. 5 is Stick It Out. 4 is Nobody's Hero. 3, I've got Animate. 2, I've got Between the Sun and Moon. And number 1, Cold Fire. It is, I think that's probably a top 5 or 6 Rush song for me in the whole catalog, which is extreme praise. I can't say enough good things about it.
Yeah. You know, if you ask me my ranking tomorrow, that'd probably be a little bit different.
It would probably change. Yeah.
That's the thing. You have to do it, and you have to just get it. Like, I know I've been on a guest on this other podcast, Records Revisited, where that's what you do is you rank the songs. And I found that I have to just sit down, give it a listen, and rank them, and not think about it again, because if I do, I'll just change things every day until the recording. So I do the same thing. If I have to rank something, I just do it and I walk away, and then maybe the day of I'll look at it again and say, all right, is it still that way? And I would tweak a couple things, but that's all. Yeah. You gotta know when to walk away from stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The rankings are hard.
Rushesaband.com on their Facebook put out his name's Ed that runs the page, puts out a ranker every album birthday. So when
Oh
Counterparts
wow.
celebrated a birthday on the 19th of October, he put this out. And other than the first three, my list probably was different when I did that like less than a month ago.
Oh
So,
wow. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's
That's
how much,
yeah.
you know, I don't other than Stick It Out, which is probably consistently at the bottom, which again, I don't dislike. It's just my least favorite.
Ah,
Um,
wow.
I'm doing the same thing for Double Agent for you, but
Yeah.
no,
Yeah. I know. I know.
I actually love that song when it was done on Time Machine Tour because it was one of the first songs from Counterparts that I heard, and
Oh yeah.
because of that. But
They're all great.
they're all good songs. It's a very complete thematic. You know,
It is.
you're gonna hear something different every time you listen to it.
Yeah.
You're gonna learn something new every time you listen to it.
Yeah, and
So
you'll
Yep.
catch those references that Neil makes. You'll catch a
Yeah.
new one just about every time.
yep,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
for sure.
For sure.
Really, really great album. It's been a lot of fun talking to you guys about it. I appreciate it. Ryan, why don't you tell
Thank
people,
you.
remind people where folks can find Rush Fans and all of your fine work. Give us all the links.
Yeah, so Rush Fans originated on Instagram. You can find us at Rush Fans. Uh, then we also have a Twitter/X. You can find us at _ Rush Fans. It's not as active as the Instagram. You definitely want to follow us on Instagram if you're going to follow us on any of those two
That's
places.
that's the most active. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. And also very active is our YouTube channel. We're pushing two videos out a week, one of a round table and generally one of something else. So, like I said in the beginning, just at Rush Fans, all one word. You could put in Rush Roundtable. We're over 200 episodes. We want to welcome folks. If you're a Rush fan, come talk with us. Don't be afraid to reach out. And
Oh yeah.
we've built a tremendous community over the past 3 years. Throughout the pandemic, and it's continued. As the pandemic is mostly over, right? So it, it's uh, it's a wonderful community to be a part of, and we've actually just wrapped up our Counterparts song discussions as part of Rush Roundtable. So we're moving on to Test for Echo, going in order. So if you want to come talk about some of those songs on Test for Echo or anything post Test for Echo or anything random, Rush Roundtable at rushfans.net. Shoot us an email, and we'll have you on.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I went to your YouTube page even today, and I clicked on a video because I really wanted to see it, and it was a premiere. It was not yet time to
Oh yeah.
unlock it. I was like, dang, but I wanted it now. I'm American. I want it now.
Yeah. Where is it?
So yeah, that's awesome. Any personal social you want to give out on this, or are those the best places for people to find you?
Yeah, that's where I people will find me through Rush Fans, and if I don't know you, I apologies, I don't accept it because
Yeah.
I'm trying to clean that up a little bit in terms of random
Yeah.
people that follow me.
Yeah.
We're kind of treated people kind of, I don't want to use the term celebrity, but people kind of are getting to know who we are a little bit through our Rush channel, and that's fine. But
Mhm.
unless you're a friend or you
Yeah.
know us, I'm probably not going to accept your follow request. So
Yeah.
apologies in advance, but
All right.
come on
Yeah.
Rush Roundtable and get to know us, and then I'll
Yeah.
accept your friend
There
request.
you go. That's how you
Yeah.
do it.
Come on the round
That's
table
your
for
that's your ticket
sure.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jim,
Yeah,
what about
because
you?
it's
Anything you want to promote, Jim?
yeah, well, yeah, my Instagram handle, I write the song discussion posts that come out on Rush Fans every Wednesday. I put them up very early Wednesday morning, and my Instagram handle is there. It's at jim.drum. And I am a drummer, and I put lots of drum stuff on there, so you could come check that out. It's usually static pictures of my drum kit. So if that's boring, then that might not be super fun. But I try to get some video content up there too, but I'm not super successful with that. So yeah, but it's at jim.drum on Instagram, and that's really the social channel that I follow, or that I I use. I don't really use Facebook too much.
Mhm.
I do have a YouTube channel as well, but I don't have that much stuff out there.
All right. Is your drum kit modeled after Neil's?
Not at all. Actually, I play a 4-piece kit in contrast to Neil's. I don't know how many piece kit he had that had his
30, 40.
acoustic kit
Yeah.
in front of him and his electric setup behind him. That he actually started that on the Grace Under Pressure tour, and I thought that was the coolest thing. So I thought it was pretty awesome. No, but it's very different because I schlep my own gear, so it's gotta make things easy for myself.
That's what I always said. It's like if I was a drummer, I probably have like a 3-piece kit and that's all I want to bring in. I don't want to bring everything in. You're not going to get me with a gong and chimes and all of that stuff.
Oh gosh, no, no way.
Well, it's been a lot of fun. I know Ryan and I talked about maybe I'll come and join you guys for a roundtable. We talked about maybe next year. There's a big Grace Under Pressure anniversary coming out, so that might be a good time to reconvene. But Ryan Murphy, Jim Benner of Rushfans, it's been great talking to you guys about this. It's a great album. It's been a lot of fun to talk about it with you, and just getting a couple quick listens in this week to get ready for this has been, I mean, just made it worth it. Just doing that. I mean, it's just fun to revisit a great album and to really dive in and to learn about it. And so now I got to go. I wasn't invited to the book club, so now I got to go get the Rush song by song book so I can I'll be better prepared next time.
This is a really cool book. Ryan turned me on to it, and it's really great. Rush song by song. Yeah, I recommend it.
All right, everybody, check out Rushfans at all the places, especially their YouTube channel. That's the videos are fantastic. I had a great time. It's funny. I was looking at you at your videos to see what you guys look like because I don't have a great photographic memory, but I was like, it took me like 5 to find you, Jim. I was just randomly clicking on ones.
Yeah, I haven't been on as much lately. I was on a whole bunch for a little while, but lately I haven't been. So I've got to get myself on more.
Yeah,
I'll be on for some of the test record thing. Yeah.
We're not just we're not a podcast where it's just Jim and I, or right.
Yeah.
We're
a bunch of people.
We're a community, right? I mean, Rush fans, plural.
We want people,
as many different faces, as many different opinions, as many different contributions as we possibly can. So
it
makes it fun.
Like looking through your channel and seeing the videos, it's like being at a Rush convention. You have the same types of conversations. Different people.
It's good. That's good.
Someone needs to carry the legacy on, and that's what we're trying to do, right? Through through conversation and just and I'll leave it at this. In episode 200, we talked about the one major impact Rush has had on our lives. Gosh. And mine was not Rush or the Rush music. Mine was the friends that I've made through doing this. And there's something to be said about that. I mean, a whole bunch of them I've actually been able to meet in person from all across the country. So unfortunately, I haven't met Jim yet, but there will be a time and place for that. But I consider some of these people my best friends at this point, and I think it's we all kind of bond over our outcastness with personalities, introverted personalities, I guess, and our love for Rush. So come join us if you're someone that doesn't have any Rush friends. Come make some proper Rush friends and join the community.
It's great advice. Great advice. All right. Well, a lot of people, they like their 2112, they like their moving pictures, they like their hemispheres or their permanent waves, but don't sleep on Counterparts. Go give it a listen.
Check it.
Hopefully some of the stuff we said here resonates with you or entertain you in some fashion. We appreciate that you watched this or listen to the podcast version if you're not watching the YouTube. And thanks, Jim. Thanks, Ryan. This has been a lot of fun. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you. It's been great.
Thanks for having us. Thank you so much.
Yeah.